Hi everyone, my name is Mark Stafford and I want to welcome you to my virtual back to school night presentation.
Okay, let me start with the basics and what you need. Then I'm going to get into kind of the overview of the course content and just kind of why I'm so passionate about this course. But if you just need the nuts and bolts, then this part is for you. So this is our philosophy Google Classroom page. Students access everything they need to access for the course by clicking on the classwork link at the top of our Google Classroom. The very top post will always be a link to the weekly schedule. This is where students will see what we're doing, a 30,000-foot view on a weekly basis, and this will be updated each Friday and posted for the upcoming week. Gives homework, if there is homework, and topics that we'll be discussing in class. I intend to link these instructions to the more detailed daily instructions that I'll show you in just a second as we move forward. You can access this weekly schedule on Aries, but they'll probably access it here. It also has our Zoom link. If they're ever wondering or tell you they can't find our Zoom link, it's always going to be right here at the top of our Google Classroom page. And all of my students are on Google Classroom. If they want to come meet with me during office hours, this is a way to sign up for an appointment. There's 5-minute slots, although they can sign up for multiple 5-minute slots. I'm encouraging them to come in groups if they have fellow classmates that have the same questions. 2 sessions, 9:45 to 10:45, 12:10 to 1:10 every Friday. They can make an appointment during those 2 hours or contact me via email and I can set something up outside of that time. All right, course resources. This is just a welcome video by me. Syllabus for the course, all the details for the course. You should have signed that and they should have submitted a signed syllabus already to Google Classroom. Then it's each week is going to have the topics for that week, and any assignments are all going to be right here on Google Classroom. So you can see our first week of classes, we had kind of a false start. And then this week was canceled. You can see some of the stuff that they can't see just yet, but that will become visible to them as we do it. Let me give you an example of what they will see on a daily basis. So each day when we meet, they will open up that day's PowerPoint presentation, and it'll be a more detailed view of what we're doing in class that day. They'll start with a warm-up. They'll open up this presentation and it'll have active links so that they can do the activities. They'll read this PDF, and we chatted about that on Monday. And then we'll get into the big topics, and you'll see task by task we'll go through, and we have a really detailed instructions for the day with links to everything that they'll need. We'll be doing at least 30% of each class period live together. So far, it's been kind of a mix of they're working in groups or they're working independently, but probably closer to half of the class period will be the whole class all together. I really want them to get a chance to hear each other's views. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the course. If you have any questions about any of that stuff, feel free to give me a call. Now let me get into some of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this class.
So philosophy, I get to teach philosophy. I really believe I'm one of the luckiest teachers on campus. I get to teach history and philosophy, and I get to mentor students. I don't think there could be a better schedule. So I love what I do. I'm really excited to get going this year with your students. They're already asking amazing questions. I'm already getting to see their personalities coming out, and that's thrilling. It's exciting to me. It's hard to do it on a screen, but really with a lot of the new technology that we're using, whether it's video discussions or our Zoom meetings and breakout rooms, I'm starting to get to know them. It's just taking a little longer than it normally would. So what do we do in philosophy class? We discuss these big questions. Well, what are these big questions? Well, let me give you a quick run through of the topics that we will cover in this course, and then I'll get into the nitty-gritty about how you can help your student at home. So we'll start with a little bit of, what is philosophy? What do philosophers do? And then we're going to move into the history of philosophy. So Western philosophy is our focus here. We'll talk about some of the heavy hitters in Western philosophy and how Western philosophy as an enterprise began. And then we're going to shift into logic and critical thinking. We're going to hone and sharpen our thinking tools, our skills, because those are the tools of the trade in philosophy. All right. Once we've got that, we've got a basic understanding of the context of the historical philosophical conversation, and we've developed our tools, and we'll continue to do that throughout the year. We're going to get into topics. So one by one, we're going to go through some of the biggest topics in philosophy, in Western philosophy. So what are they? One, we're going to start with epistemology, right? Epistemology basically and most fundamentally is the study of knowledge. What do we know? How do we know it? And what do we mean when we say that we know something? Next, we'll get into metaphysics. What is the ultimate nature of reality? What is real? Is there anything beyond the material world? We'll talk about materialists and dualists and immaterialists, challenging and questioning maybe some pretty long-held assumptions. From there, we're going to move on to philosophy of mind. We'll talk about consciousness and the self. Freedom is a part of that conversation. Determinism, free will, what is it? Do we have it? After that, we'll move into God and religion, and we'll talk about philosophy of religion. We'll talk about natural theology. What arguments are there for the existence of a supreme being? What are the responses to the arguments for the existence of a supreme being? This is always a really interesting and important unit of study that kids really get interested and engaged in. After that, we'll move on to morality and then into ethics and applied ethics. How do we make decisions about good and bad, right and wrong? Is there such thing as an objective morality? And if so, how do we identify it? If not, what does that mean? From there, we'll move on to political philosophy, where we'll talk about theories of the state. What are the best ways to organize human civilization? What are the best ways and best rules to put in place to govern a society? And finally, by the end of the year, hopefully when we're all back in person, we'll be talking about aesthetics, beauty, and art. Is there beauty with a capital B? Are there things that are truly beautiful? Or is beauty really in the eye of the beholder? What is art? Is it important? Does it have value? And why? So I hope your students get as excited about these topics as I do. I think that they are questions that humans have asked as long as humans have been asking questions, and we will continue to ask them as long as we continue to ask questions. So I think it's just really exciting and it's really fun for you kids to get involved in this human conversation that has been going on as long as humans have been having conversations. So what can you do to help? Well, this class is largely self-contained. I'm going to try and take care of everything that we need to take care of during our class meetings. Occasionally, they're going to have some reading to do on their own or maybe a lecture to watch on their own time, but I'm really going to try and keep everything within that hour-and-a-half block that we have twice a week. You, as a supporter, as a parent, as a guardian, as a co-philosopher, can help by asking them what they're learning about. Ask them to think about and explain their ideas. I'd say 9 times out of 10 kids go home and they try to explain what we're talking about in class and they realize that they're confused at that moment. They walk out of class or they log out of Zoom and they think, I got it. I understand what we're talking about. I understand what that particular philosopher was saying. And the moment they try to explain it, they start to realize they've lost the thread. They don't really get it. So you can help by asking them questions. I'm going to encourage them to bring our questions to your dinner table and engage with them, have conversations with them. This is really a moment for you to kind of see what their thinking is and for them to see what your thinking is on some of these big questions. Their homework for this class is to engage. I want them to engage. Think about these things. Question, ask questions. Think about the questions that they're asking. Try to explain these difficult concepts. Try to better understand what other people are saying. So engagement is the bottom line. I want my students to engage while we're online together, and I want them to engage when they're at home with you. So I'm going to be encouraging them on a daily basis every time I see them to engage. And that's my hope for them in this class, that they sharpen their thinking skills, that they develop maybe some compassion for positions that they hadn't considered before. Students rarely change their mind on issues as a result of taking a philosophy class, but they better understand their own thinking, and hopefully they better understand the thinking of others. A key word in our class is dialogue. Dialogue, different than conversation, which is just casual, different than discussion, which is aimed at finding an answer or a solution to a problem or a question, and definitely different from debate, which is trying to convince somebody that your answer or solution is the correct answer or solution. So what is dialogue? Dialogue is an inquiry that is really rooted around understanding. So yeah, that's it. I'm thrilled to start the year. I thank you for watching my video on philosophy. I wish we could be together and I could share with you my enthusiasm for getting to know your students and to just study philosophy with them. If you have any more questions for me, do not hesitate to reach out. My email is mstafford@carmelunified.org. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. And I hope you and your students have a great year, and I hope someday, if I haven't already, to meet you in person. Take care.